There is nothing like the unconditional love of a pet. They show you affection, give you a sense of purpose, and greet you every day when you come home. However, not all pets are treated the same. Last year, the Animal and Veterinary Service investigated a staggering 310 cases, surpassing the numbers from the previous year, 225 in 2021, 251 in 2022, and 230 in 2019. These statistics paint a grim reality. Pet abandonment is a persistent issue that continues to affect countless animals. But what drives individuals to abandon their pets? Let's take a look at some of the common reasons behind pet abandonment with SoSD.
My name is Kiran and I work full-time for SoSD, and my role is the head of operations. I basically look after the operations for the whole shelter and the charity. So I do work very closely with my colleagues and a number of volunteers. So we typically receive dogs that are abandoned from two main categories. One will be the ones from farms or factories. The other ones will be dogs that are originally from homes. So the reason that dogs come from farms or factories, usually because like the farms or factories are shutting down, they're moving out from their premises and they just leave the dogs behind because it's probably inconvenient for them to bring the dogs along. The other category, which is the dogs from homes, they are typically abandoned because of usually behavioral issues, or maybe just because there's certain life changes or family changes, or maybe even like they just got bored of having a dog. Abandoning a pet is cruel and irresponsible. The dog actually is able to form a bond and is able to have a relationship with people. So when you abandon the dog can actually feel very lost. And because it has been reliant on you to look after it for a while already, it might not be able to have the skills to survive outside.
Financial difficulties, changes in living situation, and a lack of awareness about pet responsibilities are just a few of the reasons that lead people to abandon their furry companions. But what happens to these abandoned pets?
Unfortunately, some of them, they meet with accidents and they pass away before anybody can rescue them. But the lucky ones, maybe some kind members of the public may pick them up or call us to help to pick them up and rescue them. Every animal that comes to us takes up time, space, and money to look after. Once a dog comes in, we actually need to allocate a space to it. And at the same time, it also takes away the opportunity of another dog that we could have cared for and adopted out to receive that care. Many of the pets that are abandoned are mostly a bit older, or maybe they have behavioral issues or even medical issues. So it makes it even more difficult to get them adopted and find a family that wants to take them in. Every dog that we rescue goes to the vet for an initial vet check. We get them sterilized, vaccinated, and microchipped. Thereafter, we will bring them to our shelter for a 2-week quarantine period. And this is when we actually monitor them for any health changes, any behavioral issues, and how they are when they interact with us. After 2 weeks, if they're healthy, we'll actually start to let them socialize with more people as well as other dogs. And then we can start to decide whether they are ready for adoption or not.
Many of the abandoned pets end up in animal shelter, where they face overcrowding and limited resources. Animal shelter plays a crucial role in rescuing and rehabilitating abandoned pets, but they cannot solve this problem alone. So what can we do to combat pet abandonment?
Well, if you know of anybody wanting to adopt a pet, just remind them that having a dog, for example, is a 15 to 20 year commitment. Whether there's any life changes in your life, whether you are in school now and you're graduating, you're going to start work, you have less time for the dog, it doesn't mean that you give the dog up. You need to continue being responsible for the dog for like the entire life of this dog. It is also important for breeders, in our opinion, to ensure that people who come and buy dogs are also aware of the full responsibility of having a dog. And if one day the dog for some reason can't continue in this family, these breeders should be responsible to take these dogs back, rather than have them approach shelters to take the dogs in or just throw them on the streets. If you can afford to adopt, please adopt a dog. If you can't make that long-term commitment, you can consider fostering to help us look after the dog before it finally finds its forever home. The next will be you can volunteer at our shelter 1 day per week to come to the shelter and help us spend time with the dogs. And then if you don't have time, you can always donate, or you can simply share our stories with your friends and families.
There are many ways to support local animal welfare organizations. Every little effort counts in helping these shelters and rescue groups care for abandoned pets. Together, we can create a world where every pet has a loving and permanent home.